hello there, and welcome to the world of Onigiri. Well, maybe not so much welcome, but farewell. So, this is a game called Onigiri, and it's a game that came out, I don't know, 2012, 2013? I don't really remember, but it was a really popular JRPG, and it had like an anime sort of 3D style to it, and they recently announced that they're closing the servers, so this is a look back into one of the games that I used to play a lot of, and let's go ahead and take a look. You can see they had like their own manga, they had like an anime airing. I think it was like 6 episodes, maybe. I don't really remember. It was really brief. One of the main things is that, let me take that off. Alright, cool. So one of the main appeals to this game was that it was free to play, it had an anime style, and it had not a ton of customization. I would say it had a decent amount of customization. You had character faces and character bodies that were all sort of preset. You could sort of customize. I don't really remember how to navigate the menus, and it's been a while since I've actually logged on, but you can see that there is, you can sort of choose your equipment to change what you look like. This function here allowed you to customize your outfit, but it never actually worked, and it seems like it never will work, even when the game first came out. And there were weapon skins that was added much later into the game, but at that point in time the game was sort of dead. So let's just tackle the big question: what happened to Onigiri? Help us save Onigiri. This place used to be full of stalls, completely full. There was a world full of NPCs, plenty of events going around. I mean, there were just so many cool characters. You have some of the knights, you have Gawain, Lancelot, Tristan, of course their own take. My favorite was always, and is still, Gawain. Gawain being like a holy fire. Okay, I'm gonna sidetrack. The nostalgia comes in waves. So, what happened to Onigiri? Well, one of the big problems is, after story mode, that's it. Like, you would grind for maybe some weapons, but the problem is, the content came way too slowly. So, just to give you an idea, let me turn down the music. I was just letting it rock for a little bit. So, just to give you an idea of what the content was like, these weapons that I'm using were endgame weapons. So, it's really hard to see because of all the text, but you need to be level 125 to wield these weapons. The cap level, I believe, is 135. Now, the problem is, these weapons, at the point in time, I have no idea if they added more, but were the best weapons in the game, which means that this level didn't really matter. And we'll get into a lot more details about levels and status and all that later, but what really killed this game was the lack of content. So I'm going to explore a little bit just to give you an idea. This is the starting town. This is where it all begins. You run up to that temple over there and you start your first mission. But let's go ahead and see what it's like out in this big, beautiful world that I used to love exploring. These are extra characters, like gacha characters that you could unlock. Anyway, so this game, after story mode ended, it took a little over 2 years for them to finally get like 5 minutes worth of content. Their first big update took nearly a year to do, which did provide players new content, but it would just be a grind fest. And one of the big issues is they would keep, I guess you can't do that here. They would keep adding content over and over and over, but the content was more or less not really content. They would add more characters as you see in these loading screens. Okay, maybe not those. Those are default partners, and the two on the right-hand side are like sort of the mascots of the game. But let's take a look at what's in the gacha right now. So you would have to choose... I don't even remember. This? Okay. These special grade gachas and normal gachas. Here we are. So if you take a look at this list, all of these characters are bonus characters. Here, I'll go slowly just so you can see. Musashi was, and probably still is, the best, and I believe was one of the first, if not the first, bonus character, or extra character you could unlock. She was totally broken. Super adorable. And you can take a look at some of these, and these are like alternate forms. These weren't like outfits, so like if you wanted these characters, you had to roll for them again. And we all know what it's like rolling for characters. It is not fun. They had some really cool designs. I really like this character. She was cool. She was from another one of Cybercep's games. Ooh, Cosmic Break 2? Cosmic... I don't remember, but that game shut down too. It did not do too well. These are like alternate forms of some of the main characters in the game. And then you have mounts. I had no idea you could summon Leviathan. And these are assist characters. And these are also assist characters here. And some more. Here's my favorite Goyen. And as you can see, this game has a really cool style. The characters are really cool. Obviously appeals to, you know, the male audience with all these girls. Some more assist characters. This one's new. I wasn't playing when that character was released. And some more. So if you want to think about it like in Genshin terms, these are like 4 stars, or maybe even 3 stars, and mounts would be like 4 stars, and then like these main characters would be 5 stars. So they just kept adding more and more characters. But the problem was, there was nothing to hit anymore. You would do the same dungeon over and over and over again. What was the point of hitting something if it was the same thing over and over again with just a different character? So let's go ahead and sort of, I guess, take a brief walkthrough of the game's story and why this world and this game was actually so beautiful, and it's so sad to see it go. That being said, this game did last about 7 years? I don't remember. So this is the first sort of open world. I don't remember how to sort of... It's probably M, you know, it'd be intuitive. So this is sort of the first open world. It's a dungeon style game, so you have like an open world and you enter these dungeons and you have to get to the end. There's usually a boss at the end in order to get to the next area. And I'll do some of the harder dungeons so you guys can get like an idea of what that was like. And if you're curious what I'm doing right now, in this game, at some point there were healers. So there are a bunch of different classes. There are twin swords, there are regular swords, spears, axes, staffs. However, the balance of this game was actually quite good. So this is the area after you complete sort of the first arc of the story. You head into these caves. I'm just going to take you through a brief sort of walk through sort of how the story progressed. So in the story, you save Lady Shizuka. Where do I... Is it story? Yes, partners. So these are your default partners. Lady Shizuka, Yoshitsune, Moroku, so on and so forth. You can see the names here. These are your default partners, and you level up their friendship and they give you bonus attributes, and you can summon them to fight alongside of you. And let's go ahead and see what it's like. I might be too strong and I might kill these guys with a simple staff attack. Okay, that means I'm too strong. And you can see it's I have to hit like F if I want to pick these up, but Well, by the way, these guys will not attack unless I attack, which is kind of pointless. I believe assists might be different. Okay, so assists are more so support characters. Anyway, okay, so let's just get rid of you. Okay, so, what's going on here? What's going on here? Dismiss. Oh, okay. Well, so you sort of you have these characters, and so you save Lady Shizuka, and she has this ability that lets her see and identify weapons. She has like a special ocular power, and she can sort of see like hidden things. This is from my memory from when I first played this game. Now, along your journey, you meet a merchant, one of Lady Shizuka's friends. She likes to drink alcohol, and they're all different classes. So this guy has twin swords, and you know, you have a great sword class as well, and wand, not staff, but like a wand. So the cast is very diverse, but one of the issues is that assist characters are actually very, very weak. So while they might... I see. So while they might be useful at first, in the beginning of the game, they quickly become useless. So the partner system, like, very quickly becomes obsolete, and I'll show you around the time that it becomes pointless to use them. But what you're really trying to do, essentially how the story goes, is you're trying to find Lady Shizuka's father, I believe, and there's a bunch of side quests. You sort of get like the background history of these characters, and they have their own awakening forms, which are these. They're in a separate menu. Is it guest? Special? Standard? Where? Assist? Mount? Yoke? So as you can see, all of these are actually summonable. So look, you can get kind of ridiculous what you can summon. So I can summon my mount. I can summon a little monster. I can summon a partner. Let's go with my favorite, Gawain. And we can summon one of these characters. Let's summon Cheryl. This is the icon of... oh no, you can only have one guest or one special character. I'm gonna go with Gawain. Alright, so as you can see, you can have your own little posse. You can ride your mount, and they have their own stamina right here. And these guys are incredibly powerful. They're also really useful because there is no sprinting in this game. So what you're seeing here, I am constantly casting this, which gives me movement speed. So back on the topic of different weapons, the staff is its own class. Now, I am not sure why she's spamming skills. Now, the staff is its own class, and in order to use the staff, you needed to have mind. So this allows you to use staff moves. You can still use a staff, but it has an accuracy rate. So the lower your accuracy is with your mind, the lower the chances your abilities will hit depending on the stage. I'm not going to get super in-depth because it's not like you're going to play this game. I'm just sort of explaining sort of why the staff got outclassed and someone just died. And sort of why this game had its issues. Ooh. Alright. Now you can see sort of what these assist characters can do. I lied. Alright. E. Okay, the button is E to pick up stuff. So I have no idea Alright, let's just go home. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. It's just so much fun to relive this game. You can see here that these are summoning scrolls. So this game did give a lot of their cash shop currency for free. You would just log in and there were some events that gave you characters for free and etc, etc. But again, that's the thing. Look at all of these characters. What is the point if you can't do anything with them? Okay, how do I get out of here? Where's my, there it is. So they have little teleporters. So this is sort of the main hub of the game. A lot of people would AFK in this world and set up parties that you could join, because joining parties made the game harder because the dungeon would sort of scale based on the world you were in. But look at all these different areas you could go to. My favorite was Kyoto. That was probably my favorite part of the game. And let's just go ahead and visit each little stage just to give you an idea of what it was like. So let's go to Yami Taiko. Oops. It's this one. When I get into combat, I'll sort of explain a little more what the combat was like. So this is the little village where you meet Amaterasu, Ibaraki, no, I believe her name's Kaguya, a little eye patch chick, yeah. This game has a lot of really cool music as well. Just get rid of these guys. Sort of filling up the screen. No! Go away. Ah, yes. So, in order to level up your friends, you would need to feed them material. Which at some point just got completely ridiculous because the next level, the scaling was just absurd. So this is sort of the first area you reach after leaving Onigashima. It's covered in a miasma. There's these giant flies. When you first start the game, if you were not a ranged class, these guys were incredibly annoying to fight. So this game actually allows you to have a hybrid class. This game had a lot of really cool customization options, and like most games, they have different elements, and you can build your class based on elements, based on weapons. You can sort of re-roll these skills and try to get like ideal things. Some elements worked better on certain types of weapons only because the moves that have that element were like the best. So for example, there are wind moves on a bow. However, these ice moves are better because they can actually freeze an enemy. And freezing is really powerful because you can, you know, go to town on a frozen enemy. So it's kind of like that for every class. Some elements are strictly better, which is why you'd want to use them, and you'd want to build your equipment and your other statuses, like a title or affinity, sort of to build that. These Magatama are essentially how you get those extra stat lines. As you can see, Magatama got much more complicated as you progress in the game. And my build is a very basic build you'd find in most games. This lets me recover health every time I land a critical hit, and because Twin Sword users have high critical rates, I focus on getting criticals to keep myself alive. So as you can see, it's a tab target game. If you press tab, you can switch the character that you are attacking. That's just a normal attack, and in order to use your skills, you hit R and B. And you can sort of cycle through your skills with Q, or if you want to quickly change skills, you can hit the number that's correlated to that skill. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you want to use your second skill, something like that, and you can see a little green icon or number, which means I healed. I didn't need that health, but it's just so you can see that I landed a critical hit. There is no fall damage, by the way, as you can see, or I have really strong legs. I do not know. And of course, with Twin Sword, the reason I love this class is because it's pretty quick, it looks really cool, and who wouldn't want that? Easy peasy. By the way, if that looks strange, I am with essentially endgame gear, and these are beginning mobs, but 99999 is the maximum damage you can deal, so I'm really just wasting my time hitting these puny mobs. So this is what it looks like. Another vast map with several different areas that you could explore. Let's just get rid of this character. I don't even know where she went. She got lost. And let's head over to the next area. I'll skip over some of these smaller maps because they don't really have too much to offer. So I'll show you my favorite map in the story mode. So this game was a little more solo player, but it was around the Kyoto time, which is like the third map I want to say, that you really wanted to fight in parties. This game was a lot of fun. I made a lot of friends playing this game, and just imagine this world just buzzing with people. Look at all of these dungeons on this map alone. This map was so alive. There were glitches, I guess. There were stalls everywhere. There were people roaming around, trying out dungeons and farming for items, and I mean, it was so wonderful. And I'll show you, and I'll even walk you through the first dungeon that people were recruiting for, that you needed equipment and gear, and you needed gear in order to do this dungeon. This is the dungeon that you wanted to do if you wanted to level up in Onigiri quickly when you first come to Kyoto. So as you can see, there are 3 levels of difficulty, and I'll sort of show you this map just because it was done so many times, so that the people that used to play this game can sort of see what it was like. I'll bring out a random... I think the mobs would die too quickly for you to actually experience what they look like. So I'll just bring out this little guy because why not have a mascot? So every little section is like this. A number of mobs spawn in the room, and it's walled off by an invisible barrier, and you must clear this room in order to advance to the next room. And I guess in order to save durability, I will summon my mount, just so I can use him for the time being. So after you clear a room, the next section opens, and you continue to do this until you reach the end, where you inevitably fight a boss. The maps were often quite large, and some maps it was easier to split a party up such as this map, in order to clear the dungeon. Carrot? I don't know what that is. To clear the dungeon more efficiently. So here the paths branch, and generally you would split up into two teams and take one side, but oftentimes there was really only one really big carry in a party, just to maximize the number of parties that you could get going in a single dungeon, because there were a lot of people that wanted to form parties. And there are dungeons, and you just sort of hit them and they open and they drop items. This one dropped food, and as you can see down here, food is the healing item of the game, hence Onigiri. I believe Onigiri is actually meant to describe Onigiri, which means like demon slash, but it's sort of a pun because it uses Onigiri as healing items. You can recover HP or MP, which you need to use to cast skills, but if you had a support, or if you have your own staff, which is later in the game, then you don't necessarily need as much food. And again, with the staff class, eventually when you got to a high enough level, as you can not see here, I'm gonna get off my mouse. When you get to a high enough level, you sort of max one skill, which is for your main class, and you can sort of put it into other skills. And being able to use your own staff made it so you didn't need a support class, and you could essentially be a one-man support class. You can give yourself MP, and that's sort of like the AoE cast area. You can give yourself MP, or I guess SP in this game. You can give yourself a speed boost. You can revive teammates, heal them for a lot of health, or give them more damage. So staffs were very important. So I actually missed a mob. Oops. I missed a mob, so I need to go find him. Probably left him in the other room. We'll just let this music rock. Monster cards. Monster cards never played a factor in this game. While you could collect them, they never actually did anything. Ah, I see. So that's another trick that this game used to have. Because it was a tab target, the range on your targeting system is actually quite large. So I hit tab and I found whatever this was over here. Oh, no, it's just a chest. What am I missing? Ah, I found it. And more mobs should spawn. Yep. As you can see, these levels are quite long sometimes, and you'd have to do them over and over again. But the combat system in this game was really fun, really simple, so it was really easy to get into. This room would kill a lot of people. These are literal glass cannons. They would do a lot of damage, but they died really quickly. Alright. And now, I think there's one more room before we reach the boss room. I think I can actually just ignore these. I can. Okay, and this room, a lot of people died because this was a difficult room for some people. so I can use my staff here. Take this! Alright. And that's how a typical dungeon goes. You go through the dungeon until you inevitably meet the boss, and you get a grade based on how you do. How many times you died, etc, etc. Clear time. And yeah, they had a time attack system in this game to see who could kill the fastest, and for some time in the most popular dungeons, people did try to do it. But it was, again, more pseudo content. People were already running pretty quickly. They wanted to grind the dungeons, they wanted to get the items, but to do the same thing over and over again, it's really sad. This once full world with so many things to do, so many dungeons, so many items, some relatively alright customization options, just to see it eventually go away. Some beautiful environments as well. Let's go ahead and check out. Around the time that this game started to get a little difficult. So this game was pretty easy in the first half of the game, which was around here. The game got difficult between the bridge between Sekigahara and Ichigo, I believe. There was a point in the game where the difficulty spiked to some very difficult level, and to solo a dungeon or to do some of the dungeons would be... Okay, no, Sekigahara was the battlefield. So in this map there are two warring tribes in one side and the left side, and I believe you choose one of them, and there's like a Grim Reaper in the center. Pretty cool. This game does feature field bosses that are rare, and they do drop really good items. And it used to be when you found one, you would tell your clanmates or your friends, you'd whisper them, and you'd let them know that there is a field boss in a certain area like this. Ooh. Well, people used to hunt these down all the time, but as you can see now, field bosses roam around completely unobstructed, and you would just get a ton of money. You could get magatamas, you could just do so many things. Field bosses were great, but now it's just as empty as this game. The somber music is so fitting for a once packed game. Everywhere you go, there were dungeons, there were people roaming around these fields. People dying because the mobs were too hard, because they underestimated just how strong they would be, or maybe overestimated how strong they were. The game has a lot of details that weren't very intuitive, such as where to put your points, or what points affected what, such as Dex. Dex was the best skill in the game. Even if it wasn't your main stat, your second best option was Dex, which is used mostly for twin swords and bows, but because it was such a good skill or point allocation, everyone had 100 Dex. Dex gave you crit rate, which is one of the best things to have, of course, and I believe attack speed and some other really good things. Dex was definitely the best thing to do. Let's see. Was it this door here? Ah, yes. When this game first came out, this was sort of the limit of the game, and people would sit in front of this door waiting for the patch to hit so that we could finally enter the next area. I remember those days. So many people spamming to open the door, and Cyberstep actually had to ban a few phrases because people were not happy with how long it would take. Here we are, another one of the most popular dungeons to farm weapons and experience was right here in Echigo. And I guess just for the sake of it, I can put a title on. So this game did allow you to reset your points in case you ever messed up. You would have to use a character reset. Remember how to get there. Okay. Here it is. It was in the cash shop item, and you can sell some of the items that you didn't want or that were otherwise useless to you. Perhaps you didn't need them or didn't care for it. And you could sell it back to the shop for these points, and you could trade for these points. And one of the things that you can buy with points are status reset points. So it is a little bit expensive. I'm gonna go ahead and just use my points, because why not? So this person gives you titles. Her name is Amaterasu, very cute. She's a goddess. And here you can see bonus titles with bonus stats. And the one that everybody wanted was... well, Hattori Hanzo was very popular. This was always full. And you can see now 32. Only a certain number of people could have this title, and if you did not log on for, I believe it was 2 months, you would lose your title. This was always full because you would get 15% experience boost, 6 dex, item drop rate plus 15%. It was one of the best, I think even the best title, but some other really good ones were Bugai. And you needed to have these qualifications in order to choose these titles. I think the name was something like Shotoku something. Some elements, or some titles give elements and affinity, which if this is good for your class would be better. It would be very, very strong. Let's try to find the title that I used to use. Okay, so here we are. This is one of the stats, the titles that I used to use. Only 55 players could have it, and you need wisdom and mind. So the reason why this one was very powerful is because you got wand affinity, or I'm sorry, you got staff affinity, and the higher your affinity is, the stronger your moves are. So for a staff, that means that your healing, your speed, your so on and so forth were more effective. And Holy Element is one of the best elements in the game, as I'm sure it is with most games. Cost 5 million gold, and that may sound like a lot, but most characters, or people, including myself, we had max gold, and we even had spare gold in our inventories that we never bothered selling because it was like a bank account, and if we had nothing to spend it on. Nothing to do, nothing to spend our money on. It was just an empty world. So I'm going to reset my points. Let me take a quick little picture of my stats as they are now, just so I remember for later where to put my points back. This was a very carefully calculated point distribution, and I don't remember why. Alright, so I finally figured out what had happened, and after purchasing it, it turns out my inventory was full, and I bought another one. So I don't know what happened to the other two. Looks like they're just permanently gone, so I guess Well, I guess none of you have to worry about that anymore, because this game won't be around for much longer. So yes, when you first start the game, you get to choose what base you want. So, depending if you use a specific type of weapon, these are sort of the base stats that you get. So, I'll sort of show you. So this gave you the best amount of dex and mind and wisdom. So as you can see, it specializes in dual swords and some magic. So this is really good for dex classes. I'm sorry, bows and dual swords. That's a dex class. And it also allows you to use staffs much more efficiently. So this is a very good sort of base that you want to use. And you can see here that this is what I mean by base stats, and they do scale. And I don't remember, I think it's every 24 dex gave you a crit or something. It was every 18 dex. As you can see here, it went up. The game had its own way of or it had its own sort of bonus stats when you hit certain levels of stats. So just for the sake of getting the title, I'm going to max these two stats, get the title, and then reset. So get those two over to Ami over here. Everyone called her Ami. And I want my Shitoko Taishi. And I gain my title. And then if I get another skill reset, I can go ahead and hit a big fat reset. And as you can see here, I have my title. And I can hit reset and just get my old points back, but I'll still maintain my title. So a nice and easy way to sort of cheese what you get for titles. Now I ran out of points. It says I own 2, but I definitely don't, as you saw. I don't know if they're in the void somewhere. And I don't particularly care about my items anymore. So when creating a weapon, in order to get to the next stage, you needed a weapon of the same type, or you could use these treasure swords in place of those weapons. And these are used to enhance your weapons. So they're very, very powerful items. And yeah, so let's just exchange a bunch of this just so I can buy another reset, which is, yeah, good enough. Okay, boom, boom, and there we go. So go right back to cautious. Okay, and now I'm going to put the points in the way that I had when I took the screenshot. Alright. So, 85 here. 31 here. $27 here. And to simplify it, this was definitely 100, and this was whatever this came out to be. Boom! Close, and as you can see, I still have this title. And if we go over here to status details, you can see sort of the bonus elements that I have. So, as a sword user, you focus on lightning and holy, because holy being one of the best elements in the game, and lightning being one of the best elements for sword or twin sword users because of this ability here, Thunder Beast. And the title I gave myself gives me 30 holy and the ability to use my staff much more efficiently. So now I should be getting more than 48. I'm now getting 50. That might not seem like a huge difference, but that is a very significant difference. Yes, and you can block in this game. All weapons allow you to block except staffs. If you hold your block button with the staff, you actually charge your SP faster at the cost of durability. One of the interesting things about this game is that you cannot repair your weapon in a dungeon. If your weapon breaks, you have to leave the dungeon because you can't continue. And in order to repair your weapon, you talk to this NPC, Yoshitsune, and when you repair your items, you just give her your weapons, and as you can see here, my durability is 6,776 over 7,000, and you use items to increase the durability, or there's a small chance after a good repair that Yoshitsune will increase durability. However, Yoshitsune can also have a bad repair and you will lose durability. So to prevent that, you use repair fairies. It prevents your item from losing durability, and you get a lot of them throughout the game. So just use your repair fairies. This is a good repair. This is a great one, so it would have increased durability, and a great one, so it would have increased durability. But I am max, so it doesn't really matter. Let's go ahead and check out one of the most popular dungeons in this area. Sort of the next big step after that dungeon in Kyoto was this dungeon back here. Let's just go ahead and get there faster. This dungeon dropped Magatama and gave a lot of really good experience. As you can see here, this was my attempt to solo it when I was first starting the game, and eventually skipped right to hell mode because it gave the most amount of mobs at the highest level, which gave the most money and experience and etc. Let's see. Trying to remember how this dungeon goes. Okay, I remember shooting something in order to open a sliding door which let you go to the actual dungeon. I shot this guy. There it is. So with the tab target system, if something is just out of range, the little shotting gun indicator sort of looks like this, and when something is within range you have this glowing thing, and of course you can't shoot through walls. So one way to cheese as an archer would be to sort of sit behind a wall and shoot the enemies, and some moves have different range, and you can check your range by holding R and B. So all of my moves have the same range, which makes sense. Only a few moves had specific ranges, and of course you have these powerful moves that can hit multiple targets. So just to cover the moves, you have 3 basic moves that you get on any weapon, and these special moves are called Ogi. Now when the game first came out, these were cash shop exclusive items. However, with the eventual release of free cash shop items, free Onigiri coins, and etc., people would sell weapons with these attached to them, so you could get Ogi that way. However, at the beginning of the game they were very rare, and in order to efficiently do dungeons you did need these Ogi. So this game was very pay to win, as any game is. So one of the very important mechanics in this game is dodging. You would double tap a direction to dodge. You can use it to cancel your animations. So as you can see here, and it's useful in case you, of course, don't want to take damage. Now, another powerful thing about dodging is that with something such as Twin Sword users, it helps you chain your Thunder Beasts together with much more ease. As you can see, Ogi are pretty strong. They make dungeons much easier. Of course, if you have your basic attacks as well. This is sort of an unfair representation, again, because I am essentially max geared. I'm even killing these guys with a basic attack with my bow. One of my favorite moves was this move here called Collapsing Blade. So all of the weapons in the game, except staffs, had a certain move called Collapsing. And these collapsing moves would deal a large amount of dark damage, as you can see here. And it costs a very large amount of durability, but man, it looked cool. Alright, let me beat this guy down. Or these guys. So cool. It's been a while since I played this game, so a lot of my movement is very rusty, but oh, so in order to switch weapons in this game, you would hold F and you'd move your mouse in the direction that you've equipped certain items. It may not seem like intuitive at first, and to be honest, sometimes it would be very annoying. Ooh, a Magatama drop. So dungeons would sometimes drop my inventory as well. Special Magatama, and that's why people would farm dungeons, specific dungeons, not just for the experience, but just to get these specific items. Do want this just to sort of show you guys. I don't know it's a useless item anymore. Once deleted, you cannot get them back. Damn right I can't get them back. Alright. Let's see what this one does. So this one gives rank 7 skill force plus 62%. Perfect. So let's talk about skill force. Skill force was this game's way of determining the level of damage a move would do. So this is level 7, which has a higher total damage cap, I guess I'll call it. As you can see here, this is the same move. Skill, this is rank 5, this is rank 7, and this has a force of, that's very hard to see, 373 at level 30, and this has a skill force of 598 at level 60. So it has more force, although it is higher level, but this caps at 50, this will cap at 70. And the significance of that is, let's go ahead and take a look at what I'm wearing. So this one gives all of my rank 3 skill force plus 15% and 12%, and for my twin sword skills that are rank 5 and up, 100%, so on and so forth. So when we look at my twin sword, all of my weapon skills are level 5 and higher, which is true for these. So that meets the requirement of these Magatama to be 5 or higher, or 3 and higher, or 4 and higher. And the importance of that is that the move that you're using gets a damage increase of that percentage that you see there. So if you go over here to skill force, my twin sword skill force at rank 5 and higher is 387%, and my bow and staff are at 237. Now, if you chose to solely focus on one weapon, you would deal more damage. I was always a big fan of hybrids because I loved the ability to mix and match skills and weapons in this game. I did have another account that I played on that used a spear and wand, which I guess I can show you later, just for fun. As you can see, with just one bow, you can sort of spam a bunch of skills, and if you have certain liquors, they increase your cooldown reduction, which made it so you can use your skills faster. Some of them made it so you couldn't die. If you took a fatal hit, then you would be left alive at a certain amount of HP. There were a lot of really fun liquors. One of my favorite, which I'm not wearing at the moment, was called Festival, or maybe it was Feast of the Damned. And you couldn't die for, I believe, 10 seconds. But at the very end of it, you would die. So it was used for like an all or nothing type of situation. I think it's a little loud. Let's go ahead and drop that. And of course they are liquors, so in this game you can get drunk, and if you get drunk you move very slowly, and I don't remember what the other caveat was besides moving slowly. Oh boy. Now these guys deal a lot of damage, and had I been the level that most people do this dungeon at, I probably would have died from standing at that inside that ice. So another thing is, mobs drop these weapons. They are unidentified weapons until you take them to Lady Shizuka, who has the ability to see these weapons. It's part of her lore, and she identifies the weapons for you. It is random. These gold ones have a higher chance to give you like these gold ranked weapons. I'm not sure I can actually show you because I don't carry anything other than high tier weapons. So this symbol here, this gold symbol, was like the highest rarity. Underneath that was, I believe, a red weapon and then a blue weapon, I believe. And then, so 5, 4, then 3, and then you had like tier 1, which are like the white weapons, which were very, very bad. And of course the boss at the end of the dungeon. Oh, that's right, there were 2 of them. Boop! Ah, I was wondering what his aggro range was. Boop! Another cool thing about these dark moves on a bow is they inflict slow, so sometimes you can slow enemies down. If you can't freeze them, you might be able to slow them. Some mobs are immune to certain effects, so really this bow is sort of meant for damage, but it's mostly for utility. And the main weapon of choice, of course, are my handy dandy twin swords. So that was the one of the main dungeons of this area. Right after Kyoto, it was the most popular dungeon to farm. And I think it was around here where another really big hill to climb was in terms of difficulty in this game. I'm trying to remember my way around this game, but let's just go ahead and take the teleporter. That kind of takes away from exploring this game, which I really want to do. And unfortunately, you guys can't really explore the game. But that being said, at least you can see sort of what this game had to offer and just how sad it is to see it go. So all of these connecting parts while you could take teleporters, a lot of the story mode missions and a lot of places, dungeons, now not all dungeons held unique items. A lot of dungeons shared certain items, and that made it so that other dungeons were just more efficient than dungeons that had the same drops to farm, like experience wise. While this does seem pretty barren, this was the highway that led to our next destination, our next major city. This was also walled off for some time. So Echigo was sort of like the first expansion, and then after this was the next expansion here. The beloved onsen. There were some cutscenes, nothing like too spectacular. There's a little short story. The men's bathroom, or the men's side and the women's side. The women's side, I think it was in the anime as well. There's like a monster, I believe, and the men raced in and the girls had taken care of it. Something like that. But of course all the girls were in their towels. Okay, so this is actually pretty cool because this dungeon that I'm going to next was one of the most difficult dungeons, and the boss in this dungeon had a very good drop that most people needed for, I believe it was a specific weapon. So we're going to Warabizuka, I believe is the dungeon. Oh, so as you saw right there, I actually canceled my Rapid Storm by dodging too quickly. Animation canceled right out of it, so that was something that happened once in a while. My little death fodder is dying. Ah yes, so this came later in the story where you had to redo this dungeon. It wasn't exactly the same, I believe. So we're gonna go ahead and go to the original that we used to play at. Just so I can give you guys sort of a look at what it was like. And I'll show you just how useless these support characters became. You couldn't give them any equipment. They never actually received different outfits. Some characters, these cash shop characters, did have different outfits, but these guys did not. So let's choose Kaguya. She has like an assault rifle, which is not a weapon in the game, but unique to her. I hope these guys, they shouldn't die with my wand hit. There it is. So now 930 damage per shot. My staff does 3,700. Well, that was a critical hit. 2,000, 4,000. So in my weak one shot of a wand, I hit for a significant let's try this again. Alright, so let's go ahead and see what Kaguya's damage was like. And keep in mind, this is sort of like her max level and whatever. When we sort of came to this dungeon, these characters were not this strong. So just to give you an idea, I'm going to hit him with my wand. Actually, let me just make sure there's only one person alive, just so we're not distracted by other people. Okay, here we go, here we go. So, just to show what the partner was like, my staff did 4,700 damage. So her 4 shots, she just used a special move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. About, 1,200 damage a pop. That's not bad. That's about 6,000 damage. But let's go ahead and check what his health is like. I killed him in 1 hit. Okay, well, I have no clue what kind of damage this character was doing. Just like in terms of like scale. So let me just hit one of these normal mobs with a basic attack from my twin sword. 51,000. I didn't see the other one, but I'm doing 10 times the amount of damage with a single hit. That hit twice. I don't know what the other one. It looked a lot bigger. Let's just assume it was the same amount. So I'm hitting for 20 times the amount of damage with a basic attack, which eventually you don't actually use because you're busy spamming your skills and killing things much faster. I'll show you sort of the block preview. When the game first came out, there was no block or parry. In this game, you can parry, and if you successfully parry, you can actually cast a skill with no cast time or significantly reduced cast time. So let's see if I can... Well, okay, she just ate the hit. I guess that's one good thing, is they can eat the hits for you. Alright, let's see. Oh, I was too slow. I actually believe the parry window is a very generous window of time. That's a block. As you can see, I took a small amount of damage, but... Oh, there it is. The window of opportunity to cast something after the parry is quite large. I actually forgot what button to press after the parry. So 0 cast time, parrying, I want to say gives you some SP back, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember, but when that was introduced later in the game, it made some dungeons a lot easier to do. And of course, this dungeon was very hard to do solo when it first came out, and ooh, I leveled up my skill. In order to level up a skill, you have to use it. You have to use it over and over and over again. There used to be people that put out like tables on how many times you actually needed to do it to level up a skill every time. I'm just using my normal attack, even though I just said you never use it anymore, just to save durability. Again, when your weapon breaks, it becomes useless, so don't want that to happen while sort of showing you guys the most popular dungeons that people would do, and sort of give you like a brief... Oh, actually, it reminds me, I actually missed a very popular dungeon back in... I don't remember the name of the dungeon. I apologize. Sorry, I'm just getting in the groove of things. Oof. What did I miss? Pooh. Ah. Prepare yourself. Boom! I don't think that was a crit. Maybe. Okay, let me bust out a partner, because these are pretty cool. I guess I should have busted out a partner earlier, but let's go ahead and bring out one of my favorites. Yeah, why not? She's not the best. She was quite weak even on release, but the cool thing about partners is you build up your gauge right over here. This yellow bar is sort of their special bar, and when you fill it up all the way, you can transform into this partner. I don't believe they attack outside. Let's go ahead and see. I missed. There's the parry. Okay, so they do attack. Oh, I see. Well, I apologize, Luna. But that being said, these cash shop item characters are obviously stronger than what you would get in a story mode, so... Yikes. I'm taking a lot of hits, which would normally kill me had I not been this gear. If I was in this dungeon trying to do what I'm doing right now with the gear that was sort of expected around the time of release, I would definitely be dead. Those fireballs from the giant demon men would do a lot of damage. And as you can see, having a bow was really precious. So a lot of people did have like a secondary bow just in case. I have no idea if I just flipped myself. I think I'm wrong. Yes, okay, this is the right way. So now that Luna's bar is completely filled, I'll show you. So a hidden thing that you might not be aware of, although not that you'll ever be aware of, but your attack actually scales based on whatever weapon you're holding. So because I have the most attack while holding this weapon, as you can see here, that's my attack right now, 54129. If I switch to my staff, my attack stat drops significantly. So the scaling actually depends on whatever weapon it is you're holding. So they need to be in range in order for you to swap, and they have different moves, different SP, and you can sort of just go to town with these characters. What is cool is that this also sort of gives you a window of opportunity to so you can actually dash with these characters, but Luna specifically, because in the game Cosmic Break you couldn't really dash, Luna does not have the ability to dash as many times as most other characters would. And her special ability, these Ogis, these luminous sabers, are actually from the Great Sword Ogis. So they are, well, she is a Great Sword wielder. So even though it looks cool, you can actually get these very same abilities with basic Great Swords. And with these characters, you can pick different weapons. And you can assign them different moves. So the significance of that is that sometimes some elements did not affect certain mobs, so you would have these different moves as type coverage. And oh, they updated those. These moves didn't used to look like this. Oh, fancy. I can't believe they put small detail like now. Like, it's too late. So this bar is an indicator of your time left. I believe if you get hit, it goes down faster. And you can manually swap back to your main character by pressing the swap button. And somebody is still alive. This always happens, which is why that tab target that I talked about earlier was very useful. So you could sort of find out who it was or where they are and get to them faster. So yeah, a lot of these special characters did have unique skills, which was sort of why they were also a different, they were fun. Cheryl was the first sort of free partner. You couldn't transform into her, but she was like a special anime collaboration with like Milky Holmes Galaxy or something. I don't remember. and of course the mascot of Onigiri herself, Sakura. Very very plain. But in terms of special guests, so these people also had specialty elements. So for example, Oda Nobunaga is like dark and fire, I believe. So not only could you try different weapons, but in case you were lacking type of element that you might need for certain bosses, these characters sort of allowed you to briefly, as long as you had the time to experience or fight with that element type. And what most Twin Sword users would do is sort of do what I'm doing, and that's just use Thunder Beast into some AoE move and switch to your next weapon and do the same thing over and over again. My cooldowns, normally I would take like one of the liquors that you see down there just to spam that with much more ease, but I am not going to do that because I'm going to try to enjoy what I can that's left of this game. Just ride this wave of nostalgia. All of this hard work is, you know, sort of gone. The music that's rocking in the background and just everything about it. Boom, boom, boom. So cool. My gameplay will be a little more fluid once I get into the game, or really into the knack of the game. But for now. Alright, so let's go ahead and fight the Tengu as Oda Nobunaga. This boss was very hard when he first came out, and these ice arrows were saviors. You needed those in order to freeze him in place because he would fly in the air. In fact, I'm not even going to shoot those guys. I just want to... Now, I don't remember what it was like using this character. Oh, okay. That's sort of the dash I was talking about. Ooh, she has like a unique block. Okay, so my Oda Nobunaga was not very high level. Oh, she has like a side dash. Oh man, what a cool character. Oof. Ah, yes, now I remember. He dropped weapon recipes that were like really important for some classes. And you'll see I'll change now. There it is. And that's how partners work. And my favorite, I'll bring her out, was going, oh, actually maybe I'll just use Tristan for the next one. She's like a 4-star character. One of the lower tier ones, but she was still sort of fun to use. I want to go back and show you, well, no. I'm sort of advancing. So let's just keep advancing. Keep moving forward, as Aaron would say. And I think I'm going to end it for this session. Maybe next time I'll go a little bit longer. I'll just get to the city after you finally complete that dungeon. And we'll end it for this episode. To see the death of the game that you loved almost brings me to tears. So, here we are at the town. Let's go ahead and find Yoshitsune, which according to this mini-map up here, she's in this Oh! Well, I just crashed. So, I guess we'll end it there, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.